like I'm forgetting something, Lewis. I don't know what it is.
I wonder what it could be.
I feel like there's something that I'm missing. Wait a second. This tweet is going to bring him in droves. Gruber's going to wonder why everyone's abandoning his podcast. They're coming here. Get the real news.
Giant titanium fish hook. right in the cheek of the internet.
I hope that YouTube servers are ready for this tweet.
What? We've got all the best jokes offline.
You know, and we're live. Our problem is that we've got the best jokes, but that's all we got. That's our problem. Oh, look at them. They're pouring in now. We got 2 people here, 3 people here. If you want to shout out, join the chat. I know, look, from the title, here comes Apple's quote-unquote realityOS. No one cares about Apple's headset until they announce it and they show us what it's going to do. I know that no one cares. And so, but here's the thing. It's slim pickings this week. There's just not a lot going on. So we are going to do our best to make this set of, I'm not going to call it boring news, but I'm also not going to say it's going to be exciting. We're going to make it exciting. That's what we're going to do. Shout out to Dipsy Doo who's here. Sammy, on time today. Yeah, barely. Benky says, sup, Chase McLean. Yippee-ki-yay. I can't even finish that sentence, so we'll get banned off YouTube. We got Captain Future here. He says, good day. Might be from Australia there. Probably has some shrimps on the Barbie. And we got a real packed show today, guys. We got all sorts of mediocre stuff to talk about that we're really gonna talk about in an over-the-top and exciting way to add as much comedic effect as we can. Actually, there actually is some legitimate news here. But until we get the March event announcement, which I'm praying every day comes as soon as possible. Oh, Captain Future Germany. Oh, guten Tag, mein Herr. That's where Leon Dieter's from, too, as well. Did you know that?
Germany?
Yeah, Leon Dieter. Who has
Kane is supposed to be a German name.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound German to me.
No, I thought it was Irish, but my sister-in-law did some genealogy research and found out we came from southern Germany.
Really? God, that makes so much sense, actually. You being from Germany, it just describes or it illuminates why you like to drink and get in fights with people at bars, why you like to drink and go on bike rides, why you like to drink before name the activity.
Yeah, eating sausages, like to drink before going to the Christmas market.
Why you like to fight with people so often. That makes a lot of sense.
I think I'm casting aspersions there on Germans.
Well, I'm part Austrian, so I can cast as much as I want. Although Austrians would say they are not German, they would actually be offended by that. Which it's funny because I was talking to an Austrian guy when I was in Austria, which half my family is from Austria, so I am indemnifying myself by qualifying myself to make this statement. And I was like, well, what's the difference between like people who speak German and people from Austria? And he enumerated this big list. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I talked to some guy in Germany, and I was like, my friend from Austria says that they're very different. He's like, no, we're all exactly the same. He's like, we speak the exact same language. There's like literally no differences. Austrians believe that, but there's actually no significant differences that you could point to. So I hope I didn't offend any Austrians in here. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and just get this thing rolling because, well, we got a lot of exciting news to talk about today. And I know you're eager for us all to get into it. So let's cue up Mrs. You-know-who. Hello! Guten Tag, mein sweet Leander Caney. Oh, my goodness. She's switching it up. Trying to speak to you in your love language there, Leander. That's, I've seen her do that before. Okay.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
Okay. Well, Mrs. D, if you don't mind, our concurrent viewers are precipitously dropping. Let's go ahead and get this thing on the road so that we can do the Apple news for these fine people in 3, 2. Wait a second. 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Airphone Elijah. Join me today. The Spanish call him Rey de los Burros, which translates, of course, into King of the Donkeys. He's also the founder of CultMac. Leander Caney is here.
Hello. What was it? Rey de los Donkeys?
Also, with us, speaking of donkeys, you could say those are his spirit animal. Compact, but strong. Good-natured, but he'll bite you. Managing editor of Cult Mac, Lewis Wallace is here.
Used to be able to kick too, but these days not so much.
Yeah, watch out. If he gets on all fours, you better run. That means he's going in for a kick. That's the signature Wallace move, right? He gets on all fours, and people are like, "What's he doing?" And he goes, "Ah!" He kicks you with his back legs.
That's right. You don't deliver your story on time. That's
Oh
what you
boy,
get.
that's right. Don't make any grammar mistakes. Get your story in on time. You won't have to deal with that. All right, all. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about here today. And it's exciting stuff. We have Apple accidentally spilling realityOS. And I made a cheeky joke on Twitter. Did I send that tweet? Did I send it? Oh, I did send it. Whew. Okay, good. Forget your reality. Apple's got their reality prepped for you. And that leaked out this week, so we'll talk about that. If you're a fan of Face ID coming to Mac, we learned some surprising news this week. That is probably not going to happen anytime soon, according to Gurman, which I thought that was like right around the corner. How can it not be? Well, apparently not. So we'll talk about that. Apple is churning pretty much every iPhone into a tap-to-pay terminal. I know this one is kind of oddly specific, but if you've ever run a business or you wanted to accept payments on your iPhone, you know there's apps you have to download, things that you need to do. Well, no longer. Apple is literally going to make all phones capable of tap-to-pay, which is really interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. Oh, look at all these notes in here, Lewis. How long do you think this show is going to be?
Day and a half.
Oh, my goodness. You better micro machines your way through that. And then we'll wrap up with the discussion on the Apple third-party payment situation, which I don't know if you all have been following. So, there's been lawsuits that have arisen in different countries to force Apple to allow third-party payments in apps so that developers don't have to use Apple's payment system. So Apple has finally unveiled their solution for this and how it's going to work. And to say developers are pissed is definitely an understatement. I had to laugh when I saw this because I think we were all expecting Apple to do something that was drastically different than what they're doing now. It's not. It's basically them. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We'll get into all that. All that and more. Before we dive in, let me give just a real quick plug to a really fantastic product. It's called CultCloth. You can get some at cultcloth.co. This is a product that I launched in 2015, and it just keeps selling. People love their CultCloth. It is a cleaning cloth made from a fiber that goes through a special process in really expensive mills. Like normal microfibers made in mills that cost like $100,000. Like our mills are like literally a mill. Like they're like $1 million machines. And they break down the fiber so that it has all these cracks in it, which drastically increases the surface area. And then they're woven into these super dense cloths. And like when you get your hands on one, you'll see what I mean. I have one right here actually. For our audio listeners, I'll hold this up for our audio listeners. And when you hold it, it's just really, really, it feels like a luxurious like hotel towel, except it's just got unbelievable cleaning power. You rub this over like your Apple Watch, your iPhone, whatever you got. And when you lift the towel, there will be nothing left behind but sparkling glass and metal. I use these things on everything, my sunglasses, my iPhone, my iPad, my television, anything that is technology related or has glass or plastic on it. I use it on everything. And they just wipe everything away. It's truly surprising. And if you are someone who is meticulous with your technology, your stuff, you like to keep it clean, I just couldn't recommend CultCloth more. I use them. I love them. And you can head over to cultcloth.co and check out what we have. If you want to place an order, you can use code CultCast at checkout to save 10%. What am I doing? To get yourself an 8x8 carry cloth with any order. I was mixing my Squarespace read with my CultCloth promotion here. My brain is just going sideways. You will get a free carry cloth with code CultCast at checkout. And then also, you know what, Lewis? Let's just plug the Cult of Mac store, shall we? Just real quick, store.cultofmac.com. Leander, did you send me the link that you wanted me to?
Yeah, I put it into.
You put it into
Slack.
Slack. Okay, let me go ahead and get the plug going here, and I will bring this up as you're talking here.
Yeah, we've got a really good deal right now on this Mag wallet from Switch Easy, which is a magnetic MagSafe wallet that goes on the back of your iPhone. and holds a couple of cards, and it's just like Apple's MagSafe wallet, but it's a lot cheaper. And we're doing a really good promotion so that if you buy one Switch Easy product, you get the other one at half price. And they have a whole bunch of really cool stuff. All these different MagSafe accessories, bands, cases, chargers, bricks. I mean, it's nice. They're a really good firm. And this MagSafe wallet looks really great. I mean, I want one. I'm going to get one because my son just lost my wallet this weekend.
Your son lost your wallet?
I let it to him to go get some ice cream from the store, and then I haven't seen it since. So, and he just, it's been driving me crazy. So I need something like this. So yeah, that snaps on the back of my phone.
You let your adult son your wallet to go get ice cream, and then he just, I lost it, Dad. Sorry.
Yeah. With my ID and my key card, I can't get into work now. I have to call myself up to get into work because I lost my key card. It's like a huge. And I've been checking my credit cards, and they've not been used. So I'm assuming it's in the house somewhere. I just don't know where.
Wow.
And of course, it doesn't have an AirTag in it, which is what I need.
Look at that. They got several different kinds of MagSafe car mounts, which I don't know if you guys use those, but oh my God, totally awesome.
Yeah, I want one.
I mean, it's really nice to just be able to tap, instantly attach your phone to something so it can go sliding around, which mine did prior to purchase.
Right. Yeah, those MagSafe car mounts are great.
This is a really nice case, Lander. It's made out of leather, I think, right? And it looks like it's the exact same quality as the Apple case, and you can slide your cards out. So, very cool. If you guys want to check one out, store.cultamac.com, store.cultamac.com. Actually, I'll put a link to this exact product in the Slack and or in the chat, and also in the show notes if you guys want to check it out. Sorry, go ahead, Lander.
I was gonna say, and if you use the CultCast at checkout, you get a 10% discount.
Oh, shoot!
So
even better.
On top of the already great deal.
I know, it's crazy.
He's giving it away.
He's a madman.
It reminds me of this guy who I used to see on television growing up who used to smash televisions with hammers. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about. I think he was one of the original.
Leander, wasn't it?
No, he was on TV. I don't think that was Leander Caney. Let's see here. We got the A2DAK. It says LK got some stroboscopic blinking.
What?
Making me dizzy. LK got some stroboscopic blinking going on. I don't even know what that means, but I think it means like you're altering them back and forth, which
my eyes?
Yeah. I don't know. You're not blinking.
No, so I can't help. I don't
blink
it again.
Any faster than usual. I didn't think.
You got rid of the inhaling, replaced it with the blink.
One day we'll get both, and then we can finally all just retire. That will be as good as the show gets.
You're going to put on some sunglasses, try and shield us from it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think, but I don't think it's going to help.
All right, store.cultamac.com. Let's go ahead and dive into the news this week. I think, LK, you're taking this one away. Oh, my goodness, look at that. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, right. So Apple spilled its realityOS again this week as its AR, VR headset inches closer to release. So another reference to Apple's unreleased realityOS operating system leaked Wednesday in a new open source code. It's just the company's highly anticipated mixed reality headset is inching closer to its public debut. So the headset could appear this year, perhaps a WWDC, as many reports previously suggested. However, thanks to technical difficulties Apple recently encountered, we might have to wait until 2023. So, I know it's who knows when it's going to be coming. But so much like tvOS and watchOS, realityOS is expected to be a version of iOS built specifically for Apple's mixed reality hardware. Although the foundations will be similar, realityOS will have its own interface tailored to headsets. And so, according to this leak, it's also going to have its own app store, which will allow third-party developers to distribute their own augmented and virtual reality applications. And there's also going to be a realityOS simulator. This is like from GitHub. They uploaded some code to GitHub, and they actually tried to correct it real quickly. They pulled it, but someone had already grabbed it and then checked out the source code, and they saw references to realityOS, which actually was previously called ROS. And ROS, I guess, I wonder why they changed that. And then there was also reference to a simulator, that obviously is going to be like the iOS simulator, to allow developers to be able to see what the interface is going to look like when they're making apps on, other machines. So yeah, I mean, it's looking like it's it's getting ever closer. But are we going to see it this year or next? And it's hard to say. Plus, it's going to cost like $3,000. So
Yeah,
maybe
it's
we
gonna be a
better
tough sell if it's that price for
Yeah.
sure.
And then this is supposed to be.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Go on.
No, you go ahead.
Well, this is supposed to be. They're supposed to be developing two headsets. One is a VR headset, which is going to be the first one, the one that we might see at WWDC, and then later on, there's going to be another one, an AR headset that'll look more like regular glasses. But that's like a lot more technically difficult, so that's probably going to come at a later date. So the first one we're going to see is like some kind of weird VR headset that will switch between VR and AR using the cameras on the front, which is what the rumors are saying. Sounds like an odd device, and it's going to have two M1 chips in it. It's going to have like crazy computing power, and cost as much as $3,000. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough sell for sure. I'm really curious to see what ends up being unveiled and what Apple's vision is for this, because I'm just looking at the chat. Dipsy Doo saying capital YAWN, and I'm like, yeah. That's every time we talk about Apple's mixed reality headset, that is the reaction that we get. It just seems like people just don't care. And I'm sure that once they unveil it on stage and Tim Cook comes out doing the Running Man and gets everyone hyped, it's gonna be a different reaction. But if you come out with a $3,000 headset, it better be pretty compelling. And that's why it seems like Apple's going to unveil this at WWDC, get realityOS into developers' hands, and then really pray and keep their fingers crossed that they come up with some compelling use cases for this. Because for a whole new paradigm in computing, you have to really paint a vision for what this thing can do and why people would want to spend $3,000, forget $3,000, $2,000, $1,500. Like, that's a lot of money to spend on a new piece of technology. And you're going to have to convince people that it's worth it to get people who are beyond the super interested Apple geeks like we are to actually throw their money down to get like a normal person to buy a headset. Because I think the idea to most people is just totally ridiculous that they're going to buy this headset and like wear it around or have anything more than a movie experience in it. I also think it's interesting that they're calling it realityOS because they have been quite vocal about the fact that the mixed reality headset is not going to be like Meta at all, right? So they're not trying to take you into the metaverse. But when you say realityOS, it kind of makes it sound as though you are going to be engrossing people in some new reality experience, right? But that's not what they're doing. So I think it's interesting that they called it that. Anyway.
I mean, it's also going to mean, is a headset itself going to be called reality? Because Mac OS is for the Mac.
Right.
WatchOS is for the watch. It kind of implies it's going to be called like the Apple Reality.
Apple Reality.
Headset.
Apple Reality.
I know,
just Apple
seems
Reality.
kind of weird.
When you press the startup button, it'll go, "Hey y'all," in your ears, and then you'll see Tim Cook walk out of his mansion in his robe. Yeah, that's going to be the startup mnemonic. I don't know. That is an interesting point. I wonder what the name of the actual device is going to be, besides the Apple Spectacles or something. It's going to have some kind of like ocular reference to it or something, Anyway, no one cares. I just keep talking about this. Our concurrent viewers are dropping precipitously. No one cares. And I know you all don't care. But we have to talk about it because it's big news this week, and it looks like it's right around the corner. So we'll all see. You guys are all going to be coming around. Who was that? Was that you? Was that you, Broussard, yawning at me? No, that was Dipsy Doo. You'll be back. You'll be back. And you'll be like, I can't wait. I can't wait for the new headset. It's the coolest thing Apple's ever done. And you'll be buying one, and you'll be in here excited, and I will be too. So I think go ahead.
I had a little revelation the other day about how
do tell.
Glasses might be handy. Because I got out of my house for more than 10 minutes, and it's kind of a joke. But I was riding around on my scooter, and I was like, it would be so awesome if I could have these augmented reality glasses on right now that could show me what the message was that just pinged on my Apple Watch, or that could show me where to turn if I was in a part of town that I didn't recognize. And then I started thinking, well, same thing if you're bicycling, same thing like you could see this being used for like workout app or something, right? And it says,
totally.
You didn't do that right. Here's what you need to do, and it shows you move your right hand in this way or something like that. I mean, there
Yeah.
are all kinds of ways where like it would be more convenient not to have to look at your phone.
Yeah.
It never really occurred to me that much, but
Like a heads-up display for your life.
yeah,
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 exactly.
I'd love that kind of
situations
thing
that
on
could
my
be
bike. It'd
real
be awesome.
handy. Putting a garbage can on your head and immersing yourself into a virtual world. I'm still not sold on that, but we'll see.
Yeah, but
What if it
augmented
suddenly switches
reality
to VR
over.
mode though while you're going through a traffic light on your VR on your scooter? I don't know. You had a scooter. What kind of scooter do you have? Like an electric one?
No, it's like a Vespa type thing. It's like
Oh, I see.
what
Gotcha.
I'm talking about.
Oh, I
Yeah,
pictured
it's
you like
Motorcycle style thing.
wee, like 1 foot on your scooter,
Yeah,
pushing
that's
with the other
right.
foot.
Yeah, that's definitely my style. Although, we were walking down the street yesterday and we saw these, somebody zipping by on one of those electric ones. And my wife goes, "Geez, I see these things all over the place now, and they just look so dangerous." Like, yeah, I could see how they could be.
Look, not to beat a dead horse here, it's practically glue, but I do think that the Apple mixed reality headset has incredible potential. We don't know what they're going to do with it yet, but you get this in developers' hands. Just think of all the real-time experiences that could be augmented with technology. Like when you're driving, it could maybe point out directions where you could go, or it could highlight cars in situations that could be dangerous. I'm just thinking out loud here. Look, you'll come up with things that are far more creative than that. But having a computer on your face that is analyzing everything that's happening around you in real time and augmenting information over that is actually incredibly powerful, I do think. And it could end up being a really cool device. And clearly, if they're thinking that this is going to be something that's $3,000, there's stuff that they are imagining it doing that we just haven't thought of yet. So I'm reserving my judgment for when they make the announcement and they pitch us their vision, because that's it, right? It's a whole new paradigm of computing. What do you foresee us doing with this? And I am excited for that because I do think it has incredible potential. Maybe even, it might even be, I hesitate to say this, but I think it could be true. It might even be iPhone level potential, right? When the iPhone came out, how it changed everything. I really think that these have that potential. Whether or not that will actually happen, I don't know. But
yeah, well, Tim Cook said that quite a few times, hasn't he? He said that it's profound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are, obviously Facebook and Meta and everybody's betting on it being the next the big paradigm in computing.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it at your desk scenario. I've mentioned this before. If you didn't have to have any monitors, you just put this thing on your face, and you could have as many like monitors open in front of you as you want. Like that one scenario for productivity would be compelling enough to me for me to actually consider this device. And there's going to be lots of other stuff. You can wear it when you're dirt biking, when you're riding a horse, when you're on your scooter, Lewis. Whee! And it's like, careful, here comes
donkey stampede.
Yeah, it can show you the most optimal route to escape the
Right.
donkey stampede. You hadn't
You
even
have a
considered that.
27% chance of escaping if you follow this route now.
Leander can wear it in the pub, and it could do real-time fist monitoring. So it's like, warning, and like the fist is incoming to punch you. You can dodge it, right? And then uppercut right to the face. Think of all the knockouts, the extra knockouts you'll get.
And ordering drinks.
That's right. Meantime, you could be like ordering drinks in your virtual ordering space. All right.
You know what though?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get a handle on that blinking, because you're gonna be at like a bar and you're like, "Oh, I didn't order 67 Stellas." Like, "Oh, yes, you did, sir." The
Just
eye blink
Blink
interface.
twice for every extra $1 in tip you want to provide. You're like, I can't stop. It's just going up to like $150. So I think it's right around the corner. So there's your realityOS news. Did we spice it up for you? I think so. Let's move on. Let's talk about Face ID for Mac. This was something that I have been pretty excited for. I thought this was right around the corner, and Gurman, as he sometimes does, dumped a big old bucket of ice water on me for this one. And the story goes like this. Apple considered Face ID for the M1 iMac, but it's not ready for prime time yet. It's not clear why they didn't follow through with adding Face ID. It is believed that Face ID could appear in a future desktop. We know that. But according to Gurman, he says the technology isn't ready yet for a MacBook Pro, which I found to be really exciting.
Exciting.
Well, sorry. I was trying to read the story and
Confusing.
talk at the same time. Yeah, disheartening. I actually meant to say the exact opposite of
Right.
exciting. I'm excited for the prospect of Face ID, but it looks like it's not coming anytime soon. Gurman said that Face ID was in the cards for the original M1 iMac. He said recently in his Power On newsletter, quote, naturally the iMac is the thickest iMac with a built-in display, so it would have made sense for it to be the first Mac with Face ID. And then he didn't say why Apple chose not to build Face ID into the iMac in the end, and he's not sure if it will come in another Mac in the future. Quote, time will tell if they launch it, being Face ID. If Face ID comes to the Mac, I think it will be an iMac or external monitor first. And this was the part that I found to be truly stunning. He said, at this point, the technology to embed Face ID into the thin MacBook display doesn't exist. It just straight up doesn't exist. And I was truly surprised by that. How can they have not figured something out by now? Face ID has been around forever, and it is in a thin, like, little iPhone with a display behind it, right? So how can they fit it into an iPhone, but they can't fit it into the lid of a MacBook Pro or something? That is truly surprising. I don't understand that.
That lid is pretty thin, though.
Yeah.
Extremely thin.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I do get that. The lid is actually so thin that they can't put the camera in there. But have it protrude a little bit or something. I don't know. They have it freaking protruding. Look at the lenses on the iPhone. They're protruding like a half inch. You can't make it stick out, like an eighth of an inch on a Mac.
I was thinking the same. It should have a bump on the back.
Yeah.
Like a hunchback.
Oh my God. Disaster.
But I'm looking at the teardown of the iPhone 13, and the actual module for the for the Face ID is thin. So it doesn't make any sense.
How
why?
thin?
Well, it looks really thin.
Let's see if I can find this.
Unless I'm going mad. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
There you
No,
go.
I mean,
that's my point. Is like they fit the module in on top of the screen on the iPhone, and how could they not fit that in? Here, I got it right here. Let's pull this up. I guess you can't really tell how thick it is, though. Let me see if I can pull this.
Yeah, I think there's something going on else. Because it doesn't make any sense. I use it on my iPad. I use an iPad Pro with Face ID all the time, and I have that magic, the Apple Smart Keyboard, the Magic Keyboard, or whatever it's called for the iPad.
Yeah.
So it's just like a MacBook. It sits on my lap. My face is, a couple of feet away or wherever it is,
Right.
and it works fine. It works great. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't add it to the MacBook or the iMac even. I mean, why haven't they added it to the iMac? There doesn't seem to be any limitations there.
Yeah, that part is confusing.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. They could have added it to the new iMac. See, that's why I just think it doesn't make any sense. It's like thickness is the problem.
Maybe they're just going to add it as a feature to the next version, like the Irfan principle.
Yeah.
Well, we could have done it, but what are we going to add? What are we going to add next year to get people to buy again?
And they do that all the time. Like they specifically and they're not the only company that does it. I mean, Canon cameras, they are notorious for bringing the band hammer to like different products. They make all sorts of confusing decisions. So they'll release a $5,000 cinema camera, but it will use like the older generation of autofocus. And then you buy like a DSLR from them, and it's a lot less money. It might cost like $3,000 or $2,000, and it has the newest generation of autofocus. And they're constantly mixing and matching features like that to force you into higher priced items. So you're like, well, I really need the better autofocus, and I also need to have video capabilities of like a cinema camera. And they're like, oh, well, you can get that. You just have to spend $10,000. But you're like, well, I can get like some of those features on a camera that costs $2,000. Yes, but you can't get them all unless you spend $10,000. So like they'll specifically omit certain features to make you choose higher priced items. I don't know if that's what's happening here. I do think it's weird that they haven't added Face ID to the Mac yet, because it's been around forever, and it doesn't seem like it would be that much effort to squeeze it in somehow. Just squeeze it in.
Maybe the list is right though, because the current generation is being sold on the chips, the new M1 chips. So when that's no longer novel, maybe like Lewis says, things like Face ID would be compelling features for people to trade up to.
Dipsy Doo says they just cut features for future releases. Yeah. We are always chasing the carrot. Oh, yeah. They've always got that carrot dangling out there, trying to get you to come take a nibble. And they go, whoop, and then they pull it back, and you go, like a donkey, miss it,
That's sure to cause us a stampede.
Then you get a stampede on your hands, TC. You better watch out. Okay, let's move on to Tap to Pay. But actually, you know what? Before we do this, Let's do the giveaway real fast, Lewis. You want to mention the giveaway? Give
Sure,
people a
same one
chance
we
to-
had last week. It's
Yeah, go for it.
fantastic item. It's Sateki USB-C multi-port MX adapter. Ugh, another product name is way too long. Anyway, it's a USB-C hub that takes up a single USB-C port on your Mac, and it gives you, a whole bunch of new inputs. You get dual 4K HDMI output, gigabit in Ethernet, which isn't good enough for Airfon, but for most of us it would be fine. USB-C PD charging port up to 100 watts. USB-C data port, basically everything. It's also got USB-A, 2 SD card readers, SD and micro SD, and 3.5 millimeter audio jack. It's everything that you want. It's a simple hub. You plug it in. $179 is what it goes for. We're giving away 2 of them. You got till I think February 15th to enter. So go to the homepage of Cult of Mac, scroll down to the giveaway thing, click on there, enter. There you go. Next thing you know, you got a great port.
Bing, bong,
Really got that
boom.
one up quick.
Great
Just
port.
get it. Make it happen.
Get in there, get it, and you know what? You got a chance. Get in
This
there.
thing is the port to rule them all, though, isn't it? I mean, it's like the ultimate port.
Yeah, it's got
Well,
ports
The
all over
ultimate
it.
hub, I mean. Sorry, yeah.
It's got everything you need. But man, I saw something yesterday. Somebody released a hub that had 18 ports.
I was just gonna
They were
mention
setting
that.
a world record.
That's the one from CalDigit. I'm gonna reach out to them and see if they'll send it to me to check out. And that one, this is like the new trend. I'm actually very happy to see this. So like, look, if you don't do like heavy duty editing, you probably don't need anything greater than gigabit Ethernet. That's probably fine for you. That's faster than most people would ever need. But if you're trying to edit off a NAS on your network, then you can use as much bandwidth as you can get. And the new dock from CalDigit, first of all, it actually produces 98 watts of charging power, which I don't know why it took them this long to create a dock that did that, because their older dock, which is still selling, which is a great dock, but it only cranks out 87 watts, which is less than the new 16-inch MacBook Pro needs. But the new one has 2.5G, Lewis. That is 1.5 Gs more than gigabit. So instead of being able to transfer files at 100 megabytes per second, you could theoretically transfer them at 250 megabytes per second, which is still not that fast. I mean, the MacBook Pro SSD, what does it transfer at like 4,800 megabytes per second? It's like insanely fast. But for network speeds, that's pretty good. And you could probably edit 4K video off your NAS. You could almost definitely edit 4K video off your NAS at that speed. So that's why I'm interested in it. But
I didn't get around to looking at a picture of that CalDigit one. Is it like one of the large docks that sits on your desk, or?
let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, it's pretty large. It does sit on your desk. Yeah. And when I say large, yeah, it's bigger than one of those portable ones that you take with you in your bag. But it's actually not that huge. I mean, it looks like it's the same as like their previous docks. I'm showing it right now if you guys want to check it out. It's got a micro SD card slot on the front, SD card slot on the front, audio combo jack. It's got 2 USB-C ports on the front and a USB-A, all of them capable of charging. Look at that big, beautiful.
So it's like a brick.
Yeah, it's basically
That's a pretty good looking thing, actually.
Yeah,
How much does that thing go for?
I think $385, $359, something like that. It's not cheap.
Oh, well, then I see a picture of like a guy holding it up. It's actually fairly large. It looks like it's maybe almost as big as a Mac Mini.
Oh yeah, it looks like a little bit smaller than that, but yeah, it's getting pretty close there. But yeah, this is like heavy duty dock right here. I think most people probably don't need something like this, but this is also an option if you want something that has literally every port that you could possibly want. Also, the charging speeds that you want. But here's the thing: I mean, not everyone needs something like this, right? And it's not portable. Whereas the Sateki one is portable, and you're almost guaranteed to get it for free if you enter it. No, I'm just joking. It's not a guarantee. Results are not guaranteed.
If you're living without a hub like this, a little dock like this, I mean, it really helps. I mean, and I get a little nucleum one here. Can't remember nucleum. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's great. It makes the woefully underported MacBook Air usable.
Totally. So yes, we got a Captain Future saying the TS3 Plus was the best dock so far in his opinion. Yeah, that was CalDigit, and I agree that really was a great dock, and it's one that I reviewed a while back. But the thing that that thing that basically invalidated that dock for me was it only charges at 87 watts. And I know a lot of people don't think this is a big deal, but it was a big deal to me because I was pushing my computer really hard. And I got the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which needs 96 watts. And so you have a deficit on the wattage. And I would find that when I was editing and exporting, I would be losing battery power even though I was plugged in, which just really annoyed me. I just really don't want that to happen. So I eventually stopped using it and switched to other docks. You can fix that problem by plugging in a power adapter and using the dock at the same time, which actually your MacBook Pro will identify the power source that provides the most power and just use that and not use the other power plugged in. Isn't that interesting? So if you have two chargers plugged into your MacBook Pro, it will only draw juice from the one that gives it the most juice. Isn't that interesting? It's just crazy how that works because it could pull juice from both, and then you'd have like a big metal fire on your hands and have to use a fire extinguisher to keep your house from burning down. But it doesn't pull more power than it needs. So anyway, here you go. The new Sateki USB-C multi-port MX adapter, and you can win one of these if you just go try. Just go try.
It's free to enter.
Free to enter.
It's one every week or one every other week maybe. And yeah, you do have a good chance. It is true.
And you might win every single time. You just don't know.
No limits.
There's no limits. There you go. Okay, let's talk about Apple's new Tap to Pay feature. I know that for most, this is going to be a gall darn snooze fest. But if you ever have wanted to take payments on your iPhone, this is a huge change in the world of payments because before you had to download the Square app or install some app where you could take payments. And now Apple's saying, now you can, and you had to have a separate piece of hardware, I should add, to like scan phones on or whatever. And now you can just scan the thing to your phone. So you don't need any extra hardware. Lewis, I'm doing the story. You take it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
true.
practically
iPhones
done.
are about to become cash registers. Apple confirmed this week it's going to give the iPhone the ability to accept contactless payments without additional hardware. It's coming later this year to the United States at first. Apple calls it Tap to Pay. Wow, that's a pretty straightforward name. Know exactly
Simple.
what it means.
I like
right?
it. Yeah.
It is going to require a partner-enabled iOS app, so there's going to have to be an app installed. But yeah, you're not going to need that separate piece of hardware. And Apple says it will empower millions to use their iPhone to seamlessly accept payments. Long, boring quote from an Apple PR person, blah, 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 blah. Includes the word solopreneurs, which is enough for me not to even
Thank you for not
attempt to
reading
read the
that.
whole thing.
Our concurrent viewership can only handle so much marketing jargon before we're going to be just the three of us here talking to each other.
I think Apple maybe needs to think different about their PR stuff because, man, it's just anyway. Tap to Pay will allow business owners with an iPhone to accept credit and debit cards, as well as Apple Pay and other digital payments. Basically, now you don't need Square or any of those other POS, which of course stands for point of sale, not
the other one.
I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you ever dealt with Square. My band has one. We take around, sell T-shirts and whatnot. And it's like one more thing that you got to A, not lose, B, remember to charge, C, hook up correctly, every single time. Like, oh, there's always this. I don't actually deal with it, but I hear the guy in the band going, oh no, where is it? Or it's not charged, or oh no, it's not working right. So being able to just hold out your phone and somebody taps their phone or their credit card and you make a sale, that's awesome. That is completely awesome. The only downside, aside from sorry Square, your days are numbered. The only other problem is how many people are going to get their iPhones ripped off? Because nobody wants to steal a Square payment reader, right? But you start, let's say you're in a food truck. You say, oh yeah, here, just tap to pay. They grab your phone and run. I just imagine have to like develop a severely, like a mount that just can't be broken. So you can just spin it around and let them do it. It's $1,000, oh yeah, I just sold a hamburger for $12 and they stole my $1,000 iPhone.
Yeah, but what are they going to do with your phone? They literally can't do anything with it.
What?
What can they do with your phone? It's locked down. They can't use it.
People steal iPhones all the time. What do you just throw them away? No. You could do something with a stolen iPhone.
You can't do much, at least not in the U.S. Like if they're going to ship it overseas, maybe, because like if your phone gets stolen, you can have it blacklisted by the carrier, so it can't be activated, and so they can't make phone calls. I guess they could use it to listen to music or something, but I'm not even sure if you could wipe the iPhone if it's been locked down and reinstall the OS. I really don't know if there's much that you can do with it. It's been a while since I've looked into this, but they keep making it harder and harder to use phones that have been stolen.
I mean, people break into Apple stores and steal them. So
yeah, but those people are stupid. Like they don't even realize.
Dude, how smart do you think the guy is ripping off?
Okay, good point.
Sandwich
good
truck?
point. He doesn't listen to the CultCast. He doesn't know that he can't do anything with the phone, right? So he just steals it and he thinks he's gonna do something, and then he's like, oh man, because he like tries to do something with the phone and like it's totally locked down. You can't unlock it. You can't put an SD or you can't put a new SIM card in it. Like it's literally useless.
I guess there's one thing it's good for though. The stolen phone is good for tracking down the thief.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
That's the one thing that you can do with it, right? As he's trying to use it, you're on your way over there with your 12 gauge
baseball bat, no, a team of donkeys.
He'll never get away from those donkeys. As soon as you run, they just come after you and they're like, ah, and like trying to bite you, right? That donkey shot.
They get into a big circle and start kicking.
Uh-oh. That's when you know you're going to watch out. All right, well, I thought this was a cool feature. I hope you all agree. And I also wonder, is Apple taking a little bit of a cut on these transactions? Like, how's that going to work? You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they are. Which is smart if you turn every iPhone into a payment terminal and Apple gets a cut of every single one of those payments. Now, that's something that's going to send my Apple stock into the stratosphere. Time to buckle in for that ride.
Do you think it'll work for like person-to-person payments? Because at the moment you can do it, through iMessage, right?
Yeah.
Will it have any effect on that?
I hope so. That'd be pretty cool if you could just be like, hey, let me pay you money. And you just hover your phone over their phone, and it's like, how much do you want to send? That would actually be really cool. And then you'd have to like go do it in iMessage. That'd be pretty handy.
Yeah, right. It's totally. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because you can use your phone now to pay for a lot of stuff, and if you could use your phone to accept payments as well, it's the end of cash, right?
I really would love to see Apple open up their NFC to other kinds of applications. They keep it so locked down, and I get that they want it to be secure, but like on an Android phone, the NFC reader and writer, however we want to say that, you can use it on other apps. And like, there's one app that I really wanted to use it for on my iPhone, and I contacted the developer, and they're like, we can't. Apple won't let us do it. And it basically lets you read and write to your Amiibo, your Nintendo Amiibo, which I know means nothing to a lot of people. They're like these little characters that you can buy that you can scan on your Nintendo Switch controller, and it will activate digital functionality in game. It's really cool. And so you could emulate Amiibo with an NFC reader, and you could do it with a phone if they would let you, but Apple doesn't let you. It's such a bummer because that would be really cool functionality for me personally. I don't care about the rest of you guys, but definitely cool for me. All righty, let's wrap up with speaking of developers, with one of the most popular stories of the week, because I know a lot of developers are interested in Apple news, and this is definitely something that's going to affect you. And I have to admit, I kind of lulled when I read this because I was like, you know what? Like, I just don't know. It's not because of what happened. I was like, this is so typically Apple that they did this. And I don't know what else we should have expected from them, but it's like somehow they weaseled their way out of getting third-party payments. Well, I'll let you tell the story, Leander. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Dutch regulators, and as well as regulators in other countries, have been pushing for third-party payments through the App Store. And these Dutch regulators ruled that Apple must accept third-party payments, but they didn't say how much Apple could charge for apps and subscriptions that it doesn't process. So Apple on Thursday confirmed it will charge developers in the Netherlands a 27% cut of sales revenue when they use third-party payment systems. And as expected, that did not go down very well with developers. So, and of course, this is for some weird thing. This is only for dating apps.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of a weird wrinkle. Yeah, like
oddly
the Dutch.
Specific, yeah.
It is oddly specific. And I kind of looked this up. I did a search to see if I could find an answer, and I didn't find an answer immediately. So it's weird. It's only for dating apps that they've ordered Apple to take third-party payments. So, Apple kind of sabotaged this by saying, yeah, we're going to take a 27% cut. Why 27% cut? Apparently because there's a 3% credit card processing fee, right? So it brings it up to 30. Anyway, so Steve Tratton Smith, he's a pretty well-known developer who has a really popular Twitter following, and often weighs in, on issues about surrounding Apple. He's created apples like My God, can I talk? He's created apps like Broadcast and Pastel for iOS. He said the quote is, quote unquote, absolutely vile, and said Apple executives, quote unquote, should be ashamed. And he was joined by Marco Arment, another well-known developer. Marco said that, quote, they're making non-App Store payments as painful, expensive, and clunky as the regulators will tolerate. Come on, this is comedy, he said. Amazing, ridiculous comedy. I'd be surprised if a single app ever took them up on this. And, he could, in parentheses, he said, and that's exactly by design, which I think is exactly right. So it looks like Apple's rules were indeed crafted with the primary objective of dissuading developers from using third-party payment systems altogether. And after all, the reduced 27% cut, when you factor in taxes, we'll see developers losing just as much as they already do by selling through the App Store. So yeah, they designed this to put a nix to it. So it'll be interesting to see what the Dutch regulators do in response to this.
I mean, they probably won't do anything. Everyone's been asking for third-party payment systems, and I think the humor here and what had me shaking my head was like, well, I think the reason that that everyone was asking for this is because they wanted Apple to not take such a big cut. You're forcing me to use your payment system. I don't want to. So let me use my own and you take more money or take less money. And then what they did is they're like, okay, you want to use a third-party payment system? Go for it. You can keep the 3% fee that they're going to charge you that we're losing, and then we're still going to charge you the rest. Like, either way, we're getting the money. We don't care what you do. We're getting that money. And if you want to go through the work of using a third-party payment processor, go for it. But you still owe us 27% of your revenue. And once I saw this announcement, I was like, of course. Like, what did we expect? Like, of course they did this. Like, what did we think they were going to do? Say, well, you got me. So now you only have to pay me, 5% of your total sales, and you keep the. It's like, man, of course they're not going to do that. They're going to protect their profit at all costs, and that's what they did here.
Well, they're only taking 15%, aren't they, from smaller developers? So they could have made some concessions like that too. But this is definitely a big finger, to everybody, and it's kind of weird because like Apple used to be so solicitous of developers. They used to be really, really careful about keeping developers happy and. But having all sorts of, keeping them close, like Microsoft used to do, because it is so important to keep the ecosystem healthy. But now they're kind of like, it's a little bit, it's total rent seeking. I mean, they are treating developers with a lot of contempt, and it's risky. I think, when people like Mark Arment and Steve Tratton Smith, who are generally, defenders of the company and supporters, they're definitely allies. I mean, when they're making statements like this, it's not a good sign. And that the whole developer community is up in arms about this kind of stuff. I mean, it's risky to be hostile to the people that your biggest supporters and your biggest, partners.
I wonder what they would have been happy with. Like, I'd love to ask a developer who has a popular app, like, okay, you implement your own payment system. What is a cut that you think would be fair for Apple to take? If you're handling all the payment stuff, you take that out of Apple's hands. Like, how much would be fair for them to take from you?
Yeah,
10%, 15%,
5%, 5 to 10.
I think 1% is fair. 1% seems fair to me. I think that would be good. So yeah,
well, it's not like
yeah.
And the Apple Store is making just so much money. I mean, it's making money hand over fist. I saw estimates that it's like 70% markup on the store. 70%. What's it called? Operating margin. Margins, which is like, mad. It's so expensive.
Yeah, what the heck? When they first launched the store, wasn't it like they're like, oh, we take 30%, but that's because we're breaking even, and which I never fully bought, to be honest with you, and they're saying that, well, we handle all the transactions and the store and everything, so we're taking 30% to cover all of our costs. Clearly, they're not just covering their costs. I can't imagine they're just covering their costs. Like, they've got to be generating profit off of this now. I could be wrong. But that seems like an awful lot of margin that goes into running a store like that. I mean, most of it is just digital infrastructure, right? Which I know isn't free. But anyway, there you have it. If you want to use your own payment system, go right ahead. You're still paying that fee. That fee is not going anywhere. Leonard, did you have anything you wanted to say before we wrap up?
Well, I was going to quickly try and read a story before I comment on it, because apparently Microsoft Store, they opened up their store just today, and I didn't actually read the story yet, but they're doing a lot of stuff that Apple refuses to do. They've really loosened it up. No, it's like a really long story. Anyway,
You want to
it
read
doesn't
it
say
very
what percentage
dryly
they're
and
taking. Well, I'm trying to look to see
monotone voice?
what kind of. I'm trying to see what kind of cut they take, and I don't see it here in the story.
it's probably similar. It seems like these cuts are pretty similar across the board.
Well, I mean, the other thing is that I mean, regulators, this is kind of like red meat to a regulator, isn't it? I mean, it's like they're giving them the finger, the Dutch regulators. It's only going to like just make them more upset, and this is becoming like a global problem. They're doing this in Korea, here in the States. There's hearings in Congress. I mean, there's a lot of pushback to their policies, and they're going to get legislation imposed on them. So it seems like it's wise to make a few concessions and try to make the changes before they're forced on them. Make them voluntarily before they're forced to do these by lawmakers. So yeah, it's odd.
To all our developers out there, let me just say this. If you really want freedom from Apple's fees, then you need to be for sideloading. That's the only answer. You have to have a mechanism in place where people can be like, this is my phone, I paid for it. Apple doesn't get to dictate which apps I can install, right? Not everything needs to go through the App Store. And they make all these ridiculous arguments. Oh, it wouldn't be secure. It wouldn't be safe. People would get defrauded. Dude, have you ever used a computer? That's what computers do. They let you install whatever you want, and they seem to be working just fine. The only reason that I can conclude that Apple doesn't want to allow sideloading is because they want you to go through the App Store so they can collect your fees, and that's fine. Like, I'm totally cool with them collecting fees in the store. It's their store. But give me a way to install apps on the iPhone that have nothing to do with you. If you don't want to allow them in the store, then no problem. Let me install them in some way, and you can set it up just like you do on the Mac. Have them digitally signed, and if you're trying to install one that's not from the store, it's like you have to change a setting that allows it on your phone, which most people probably wouldn't do because they're scared of getting like defrauded out of their Bitcoin or something. I don't know. And then you can install apps from any source that you want, and the accountability is on you for that action, right? And I have heard people say, well, then it should void your warranty. Why? It doesn't void your warranty for the Mac. You can buy a Mac and install anything you want. And it like Apple should build their OS in such a way that no apps can destroy the hardware of your phone or of your Mac. And so that would allow you to bypass the Apple Store entirely. And then people could buy your app directly from your website, just like they do now, and install it. And then you wouldn't have to give Apple a cut.
Yeah, right. I mean, I just read the story now. Should have read it before, but Microsoft's doing all those things that you mentioned. I mean, it's allowing alternative payment systems. Developers can use whatever payment system they want without any hoops or any kind of like retribution. It's even allow alternative app marketplaces as well. I mean, they're going in completely the opposite direction. Whereas Apple, it used to be Microsoft was all locked down and Apple was open, but now it's the other way around.
That's very true, isn't it?
Microsoft's like, yeah, totally opened it all up. And they got a quote here from one of their executives saying, they're doing this because they're seeing regulation coming down the pipe. And, this executive said, we continue to be more focused on adapting to regulation rather than fighting against it.
That seems to be a great solution to me because it does seem like regulation is coming down the pipe. All of these governmental bodies have been looking at these tech companies and they're saying, you guys got a lot of power and you can just basically do whatever you want. And it seems like maybe you shouldn't have unilateral authority to control the information people see, the apps people can use. And maybe we should give them ways to disconnect from your marketplace. I think that there used to be a good reason to lock people into certain marketplaces or whatever, like when hardware is being subsidized, right? Like with an Xbox. You buy an Xbox and Microsoft is basically selling you that product at a loss because they want you to buy Xbox games on which they make royalties, which makes sense. But an iPhone, you're paying full price for that dang thing. No one's giving you a discount on an iPhone. And so really, you should be able to do whatever you want with it and install apps that you want to use. And then developers could just take their apps off the marketplace or off the App Store. And to your comment about alternate marketplaces. Doesn't it seem like it's high time that we had a marketplace that you could buy apps from for the iPhone that have nothing to do with Apple? It's kind of surprising we've made it this long. Like iPhone was released in 2007, right? So what are we at now? Like 17, 22, it's like 15 years, right? That the App Store has been around. I guess a little bit less because the App Store wasn't available right when the iPhone came out. And we still don't have a way to buy an app outside of Apple, which I think is crazy. And my biggest argument is not even that Apple is unwilling to change the fees that they charge. It's that they get to unilaterally decide what apps can go into the marketplace and take advantage of their APIs. And the apps have become the internet now. They've replaced the internet. Like everyone on their mobile phones is using apps to access the internet, and Apple gets to decide what companies can have apps and what can't. I just think that's crazy. Like they shouldn't have that kind of that much power. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Sorry about that, you guys. I don't know if you're trying to get me going, but you got me going. I'm gonna.
I was just good. I was just keeping quiet, so hoping.
Lander's just over there. He was blinking in Morse code. He's like, "You got to stop. You got to stop. You've been going on too long." And once I deciphered the Morse code, I got the message. Streamline says Microsoft just churned their app store into a flea market. It's gonna be fragmented all get out. Maybe. But you know what? Some of us like going to the flea market. Streamline. So. All right, let's go ahead.
Awesome.
Let's go ahead and get that going, because I think that's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. Yeah, I'm looking at the notes. That's it. That's all we got. I can't believe we made it almost an hour with those specific stories. But there you go. That's it. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. But if you want to come, keep the party going. Wasn't this show just a party? We talked about regulation. We talked about Face ID. Oh, man. What a fun show. If you want to keep the party going, we're on Twitter. I'm at Airfon, ERFWin. Lewis is at Lewis. Leander is at LKD. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. What do you guys think? Next show, maybe we could talk about tax law, insurance. Maybe we could talk about life insurance, best life insurance policies.
These are my favorite topics.
Really?
We could talk about stretching, how to stretch. We'll just spend like part of the show just stretching. These are all great ideas. Are you taking notes, Lewis?
All right up here.
I feel like we need to do
here.
some features. Yeah. It's going to be a great show next week. Let's just pray that Apple gives us some hardware to talk about. Because there's a large hole at the bottom of my barrel here, Lewis. All right, all. Have a great weekend. Jay Price is exhausted. Me too. That show was too much fun. We're going to dial it back next week. You'll see. It's not going to be nearly as much fun next week. All right, all. That's it. I'm hovering over the end button. Enough delaying. We'll see you guys next week.